5 years can sound like a long time, but when it comes to preparing a business for sale, 5 years can go very quickly. The things that usually make a business more valuable, easier to sell, and more tax efficient at exit are not the things you can fix in the final few months. Clean financials, they take time. Reducing owner dependency takes time. Building reoccurring revenue takes time. And making sure the tax and legal structure is ready can take years, not weeks. So if you're a business owner and you think a sale may be possible in the next 5 years, the planning should probably start well before you're ready to find a buyer. Today, we're going to walk through what a realistic 5-year exit preparation timeline can look like. The financial cleanup, the operational improvements, the valuation drivers buyers care about, and the planning work that needs to happen while you're still running the business. I'm Kris Dureau from Green Private Wealth. Our mission is to help Canadian families turn financial complexity into a clear, actionable plan so you always know where you stand and how your future is protected. So let's get into it. Most business owners underestimate how much lead time good exit planning actually requires. The reason's simple. Most of the things that can improve the value of a business and the after-tax result of a sale, they can't be done quickly. The same is true operationally. Cleaning up 3 to 5 years of financial statements, reducing owner dependency, that's a big one. Building recurring revenue and diversifying customers all takes time. 5 years gives you the runway to work on these areas properly. 3 years may still give you some room. 1 year gives you very little flexibility, especially when hiccups come up. Okay, so the first year, it's about getting an honest picture of where your business stands today. That starts with understanding your current valuation, not a rough guess. A proper assessment that looks at normalized EBITDA, the multiple the market may apply to a business like yours, and the gaps between where the business is today and where it needs to be to attract a stronger valuation. The assessment will usually serve as a few key areas. The first is your financial reporting. Do you have 3 to 5 years of clean, well-organized financial statements? Are personal and business expenses clearly separated? Business owners are really bad with this, with jamming a bunch of personal expenses in. You got to extract that out. Buyers do detailed due diligence. Messy financials create uncertainty, and uncertainty often gets priced in as a discount. The second area is customer concentration. If 1 or 2 clients represent more than 20 to 25% of your revenue, most buyers are going to see that as a risk. That does not mean the business is unsellable, but it may affect your valuation or deal structure, and you want to be aware of that before you're negotiating with a potential buyer. The third area is owner dependency. This one's huge. Many small business and mid-sized businesses, the owner is very, very involved. If the business relies heavily on you for sales, operations, customer relationships, supplier relationships, day-to-day decisions, that is one of the most important issues to address early. One of the examples I use for this for our small business clients, even thinking of potentially getting ready to sell, is, can you even go away for 2 weeks without touching your phone? If the answer is no, and you still have to respond to phone calls, emails, texts, everything about to do with the business, you're not ready to sell it. The business is still too dependent on you. That's a good test. A buyer is not just buying what the business did in the past. They are buying confidence that the business can keep performing after you leave. If this is something you're starting to think through, this is why we created such a valuable guide called Are You Thinking of Selling Your Business? It walks through the key planning areas business owners should understand before a sale, including valuation, tax strategy, and how to prepare the business before going to market. It's a fantastic resource to read before you even start to think to go down this path. You can find it in the link in the description below. Now, once you have a clear picture of where the business stands, the next step is building the business a buyer actually wants to buy. Okay, so we just addressed year 1. Now years 2 and 3 where the real operational work happens. The first priority is reducing owner dependency. You're going to hear this multiple times in this video. The goal is to build a business that can operate at a strong level without you being involved in every major decision. I can't stress that enough. That means documenting key processes, which is easier now with AI capabilities, building a management team with authority, and transitioning important customer and supplier relationships to other members of the team, not just you. A buyer needs to believe the business can continue generating earnings after the owner leaves. If the owner is the business, the buyer is not really buying a transferable company. They are buying a job that may disappear when the seller exits. The second priority is building reoccurring revenue wherever the business model allows. That could include long-term contracts, retainer arrangements, subscription models, service agreements, or maintenance agreements. Recurring revenue can reduce the risk for a buyer because future revenue is more predictable, and predictability can support a stronger valuation multiple. The third priority is diversifying the customer base. We already mentioned this before, we're going to touch on it again. If one client represents more than 20% of revenue, the goal is not to lose that client. The goal is to grow other relationships so the business becomes less dependent on any single customer. Now, while the operational work is happening, the tax and legal planning should move at the same time. This is where the lifetime capital gains exemption planning comes in play. The key question is whether the shares being sold will qualify as qualified small business corporation shares. One of the key issues is the 90% active asset test at the time of the sale. In simple terms, the corporations generally need to have at least 90% of the assets used in active business carried on primarily in Canada when the shares are sold. There's also that 24-month holding period requirement, and the rules can become more complex depending on the company's history and ownership structure. Now, if passive assets have accumulated inside the corporation over the years, the company may need purification planning. That can mean removing or reorganizing passive assets so the corporation is better positioned to meet those qualifying rules. This needs to be done carefully with qualified tax and legal advice. If you're considering a family trust or introducing family members as shareholders, that planning also needs to be reviewed early. The shareholder agreement should also be reviewed. Who owns what? What happens on death or disability? Are there restrictions on transferring the shares? Are the documents consistent with the current ownership structure? These are exactly the kind of things a buyer will examine during the due diligence phase. Okay, so now we're in year 4. The business should ideally be in much better shape than it was in year 1. Now the focus shifts for preparing for the actual sale process. That starts with assembling the right advisory team. That may include a business broker or an investment banker, a tax advisor, legal counsel, and a financial planner. And ideally, you want the financial planner to have a CEPA designation, which stands for Certified Exit Planning Advisor. It's a designation that the financial planner has taken that provides extensive education on helping business owners exit their business. Year 4 is also when the story of the business needs to become clear. A buyer will want to understand revenue history, customer relationships, competitive position, growth opportunities, management depth, and why the business can continue performing after the sale. By year 5, the business should be ready. And going to market from a position of preparation is very different from going to a market because the owner is burned out and needs to sell quickly. That can attract more buyers and create more competitive tension, which can have a meaningful impact on price and terms. The formal sales process often takes 6 to 12 months from going to market to closing. That's on average. That can include marketing the business, receiving offers, selecting a buyer, negotiating the purchase agreement, completing due diligence, securing financing, and satisfying closing conditions. The business owners who tend to have stronger exits are usually not the ones who simply just got lucky with timing. 5 years is enough to make a meaningful difference, but only if you start early enough to use that time well. If a sale may be part of your future, the question is not only, what is my business worth today? It is, what would make it more transferable, more valuable, and more tax efficient by the time I'm ready to sell? If you're a business owner thinking about what an exit could look like, download our free guide. It walks you through key planning considerations for a business sale in Canada, including valuation, tax strategy, and what strong exit preparation can look like. You can find the link in the description below. And if this video was useful, please give it a like, share it with a business owner who is starting to think about their exit, and subscribe for more financial planning content for Canadians. I'm Kris Dureau with Green Private Wealth. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.